The porcelain cup shattered against the marble floor 3 seconds before the child's scream tore through the private dining room. I'd been a waitress at Celestina's for 8 months, long enough to recognize when something was wrong. Long enough to know that the VIP section on the 3rd floor wasn't for tourists or anniversary dinners. Long enough to understand that the men who ate there didn't appreciate interruptions. But that scream, high, desperate, suffocating, cut through every rule I'd memorized. My supervisor's hand clamped around my wrist. "Don't." I looked at Marco's pale face, at the terror barely concealed behind his professional mask. The scream came again, followed by raised voices in rapid Italian. A woman's voice, breaking. A man's, low and controlled but edged with something I couldn't name. "Someone needs to check on them," I said. "Not you, not up there." Marco's grip tightened. "Those people don't." The scream became a wail, raw and animal. Something in my chest twisted. I pulled free and moved toward the private elevator before my brain could catch up to my body. "Sawyer, if you go up there..." Marco's voice dropped to a whisper. "You won't come back down the same." I should have listened. The elevator doors opened onto a hallway lined with paintings worth more than my entire life. Sconces cast amber light across Persian rugs. Everything smelled like old money and older secrets. The wailing came from behind double doors at the end of the hall. I knocked once. Silence fell like a blade. The door opened. A woman in a cream dress stood there, mascara streaking her perfect face. Behind her, I glimpsed a man holding a small boy, maybe 18 months old, who was screaming hard enough to turn purple. "I'm sorry," I said quickly. I thought maybe, "We don't need anything." The man's voice came from somewhere deep and dangerous. He didn't yell. Somehow that made it worse. The baby arched in his arms, nearly slipping. The woman reached for him, but he twisted away from her too, his tiny face contorted in agony. "How long has he been crying like that?" The question left my mouth before I could stop it. The man looked at me for the first time. Dark eyes, darker suit. A face that belonged on Renaissance sculptures, beautiful and brutal. A thin scar cut through his left eyebrow. "Leave." One word, final. The baby screamed again, and I saw his little fists clenched against his stomach. "He's in pain," I said. "Real pain. That's not just fussing. 3 doctors have seen him today." The woman's voice cracked. "They said he's fine, that babies cry, that we're free. Lucia." The man's voice dropped to a whisper. "Go." She fled. He turned back to me, and I felt the temperature drop. "You have 10 seconds to explain why you're still standing there." His stomach. I pointed at the baby, who was now hiccuping between sobs. "The way he's pulling his knees up. The purple color, I think. It's his stomach," the doctors said. "When did he last eat?" Silence. His jaw tightened. "When?" I pressed. "This morning. 7 hours ago." "He refuses the bottle. Refuses everything." I looked at the baby's distended belly, at the way he kept arching backward. May I try something?" "You're a waitress." "I'm a waitress with 3 younger brothers and a pediatric nursing textbook I practically memorized before I had to drop out of school." The words tumbled out. "Please, just let me try." He stared at me for a long moment. The baby whimpered, a broken sound that seemed to crack something in his expression. 1 minute. He held the child toward me. I took the warm, trembling weight into my arms. The baby stiffened, ready to scream again, but I turned him carefully, supporting his stomach against my forearm, his head in my palm. I walked slowly, swaying in a rhythm I remembered from midnight shifts with my youngest brother. "Shh, sweet boy. I know it hurts." I applied gentle pressure to his belly, moving in slow circles. After 30 seconds, he burped a deep, painful sound, and then vomited a stream of clear liquid down my uniform, and then he stopped crying. The silence was stunning. I felt his little body relax degree by degree, his breathing evening out. Within 2 minutes, he was asleep against my arm, one tiny fist curled against my collarbone. When I looked up, the man was staring at me like I'd performed a miracle. "Reflux," I whispered. "Severe, by the look of it." He needed to be held upright, needed the pressure released. The doctors should have. The doctors are dead men. The words were so soft I almost didn't hear them. But I felt them, felt the violence coiled beneath his expensive suit. I moved to hand the baby back. "Don't, you'll wake him." He pulled out his phone, typed something rapidly. "What's your name?" "Sawyer. Sawyer Chen. Sawyer." He said it like he was testing the weight of it. "You're going to stay until he wakes up. You're going to show someone what you did. And then, He paused. Then we'll discuss your future. My future? You saved my son's life tonight. His eyes met mine, and I saw something beyond gratitude there. Something possessive and dangerous. That means you're mine now, whether you know it or not. A woman appeared in the doorway, not Lucia, someone older, professional. He spoke to her in rapid Italian, gesturing at the baby. She nodded, approaching me carefully. This is Margarita. She's Paolo's nanny. Show her. I demonstrated the position, the pressure points, the swaying rhythm. Margarita watched with fierce concentration, then took the sleeping child with practiced gentleness. When I finally looked back at the man, he was watching me with an expression I couldn't read. Thank you, he said quietly. Saving him when 3 doctors failed, that's not something I forget. I should get back to work. My voice sounded strange in my own ears. Marco will be informed you're no longer needed downstairs. He moved closer, and I caught his scent expensive cologne and something darker, like gunpowder in winter. Your new position starts tomorrow. I didn't agree to a new position. No. A ghost of a smile touched his mouth. But you will. I don't even know your name. Domenico Vitale. He extended his hand. I shook it. His grip was firm, warm, and held on a fraction too long. Tomorrow. 8 a.m. Same elevator. Don't be late. I wanted to argue, to say I had a life and choices and boundaries. But the way he looked at me like I was already his, like this was decided, stole the words from my throat. I left without another word. My uniform still damp with baby vomit. My hand still tingling from his touch. In the elevator, I finally let myself breathe. Marco was waiting when I reached the ground floor. He looked at me like I was a ghost. What happened up there? I shook my head. I couldn't explain what I didn't understand myself, but as I walked home through rain-slicked streets, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just stepped off a cliff, and Domenico Vitale was waiting at the bottom to catch me or destroy me. I didn't know which. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Domenico Vitale's face, the way he'd looked at his screaming son with controlled desperation. The way that desperation had shifted to something harder when he'd looked at me. You're mine now. At 3 a.m., I gave up on sleep and opened my laptop. The first search result made my stomach drop. Domenico Vitale, youngest head of the Vitale family in 3 generations. The article was from a legitimate news source, but the details read like fiction. Business magnate, real estate empire, suspected connections to organized crime. Multiple investigations, 0 convictions. A dead wife, Victoria Hartley Vitale, socialite, died in a car accident 2 years ago. And a son, Paolo, 18 months old. I clicked through image after image. Domenico in a tuxedo at charity galas. Domenico leaving courthouses with lawyers flanking him like soldiers. Domenico at his wife's funeral, his face a mask of stone, holding a bundle wrapped in blue. The message boards were worse. The Vitale family doesn't just have connections, they are the connection. Nobody crosses Domenico and lives to talk about it. He inherited the empire at 28 when his father was murdered. Consolidated power in 6 months. The old families are terrified of him. I slammed the laptop shut. 8 a.m. came too fast. I dressed carefully, black slacks, a simple gray blouse. Nothing that screamed waitress or tried too hard. My reflection looked pale, eyes shadowed. The elevator to the 3rd floor felt like a descent into something I couldn't name. Domenico was waiting. He stood by the windows overlooking the city, light streaming across his shoulders. In daylight, he looked younger, maybe 31, 32. But his eyes held centuries. You came. You said not to be late. I say a lot of things. Most people ignore them. He turned fully toward me. You're not most people. What is this? What do you want from me? Paolo slept for 6 hours last night. The first real sleep he's had in 3 days. Margarita tried what you showed her, but he fought her. He only settled when... He paused. He only settled when I held him the way you did, when I thought about how you moved. Something in his voice made my throat tight. Mr. Vitale. Domenico. I can't be someone's nanny. I barely kept my head above water with my brothers, and that was... I'm not asking you to be his nanny. He moved closer. Margarita is excellent. But Paolo needs more than routine. He needs someone who sees him, who responds to him. The doctors treated him like a symptom chart. You treated him like a person. So what am I supposed to do? Be here. 3 hours a day. Help Margarita understand him. Help me understand him. His voice dropped. His mother died before he was 6 months old. He doesn't remember her, but sometimes I think he knows. I think he feels the hole she left. The raw honesty stunned me. The pay is $5,000 a week. I choked. That's more than I make in 3 months. Then it's decided. He handed me a sleek black phone. This is yours. My number is programmed in. Margarita's, the driver's. You need anything, you call. I have a phone, not one that's secure. His eyes held mine. People who work for me become targets. This phone is encrypted, protected. Don't use your old one for anything related to this house or Paolo. The word targets landed like a stone. What kind of business are you in exactly? The kind that requires secure phones. A ghost of a smile. The kind that means you'll sign an NDA before you leave today. And if I don't want to sign it, then you walk away now, and we never speak again. His voice went soft. But you'll spend the rest of your life wondering if Paolo screamed himself sick again. If he needed you and you weren't there. He knew exactly which knife to twist. That's manipulative. Yes, no apology in his voice. A door opened down the hall. Margarita appeared, Paolo on her hip. The baby looked better color in his cheeks, eyes bright and curious instead of pain-glazed. When he saw Domenico, he reached out both arms. When he saw me, he went very still, studying. Then he smiled a wide, gummy smile and lunged toward me with such force that Margarita nearly dropped him. Well, she said in accented English, that is new. I caught him instinctively, and he immediately tried to put his entire fist in my mouth. No, sweet boy, that's not food. I redirected his hand, and he gurgled happily, patting my face. When I looked up, Domenico was watching us with an expression that made my breath catch. Hunger, longing, something almost like pain. Margarita will show you the nursery, he said, his voice carefully neutral again. Familiarize yourself with his routine. I have a meeting at noon, but I'll be back by 3. You're leaving me alone with the most important person in my world. He touched Paolo's head gently, then looked at me. Yes, I trust you with him. I don't know why, but I do. Then he left, and I was standing in a stranger's mansion holding a baby who'd already decided I belonged to him. The next 3 hours passed in a blur. Margarita showed me Paolo's room, a space that managed to be both luxurious and warm, filled with soft toys and books, and a crib that probably cost more than my car. He is difficult, Margarita said carefully. Not bad, just knowing. He knows when someone is afraid, when someone is lying. Babies sense these things, but Paolo, she paused. Paolo is like his father. He sees too much. We established a routine. Feeding small amounts, held upright. Tummy time, 5 minutes before he got frustrated. Reading, he loved books, with textures. Music classical, only pop made him cry. And through it all, I felt the house watching. Staff moved through the halls like ghosts. Every door was heavy, expensive. Every window had a view worth killing for. And everywhere, there were cameras. Small, discreet, but there. Does Domenico watch the feeds? I asked Margarita as Paolo drowsed against my shoulder. She gave me a long look. Mr. Vitale watches everything. At 3 p.m. exactly, the door opened. Domenico entered like he owned the air itself. Paolo perked up immediately, making grabby hands. How was he? Perfect. I handed the baby over. We gave him smaller meals every 2 hours instead of big bottles 3 times a day. He kept everything down. You figured that out in 3 hours. I paid attention. I met his eyes. That's all it takes, usually. Attention. Something shifted in his expression. Margarita, give us a moment. She left without a word. Domenico sat in the leather armchair, Paolo content against his chest, and looked at me like he was solving a puzzle. You're not afraid of me. Should I be? Yes, absolute certainty. Everyone else is. I'm terrified. I admitted. But not of you. Of this. Of what it means to be here. What do you think it means? I think you're dangerous. I think this house has secrets. I think you're letting me close to your son because 3 doctors failed and you're desperate. I took a breath, and I think desperation makes people do terrible things. He smiled, then a real smile, sharp as broken glass. You're right about all of it. He stood, Paolo asleep against him. But you're still going to come back tomorrow. How do you know? Because you see him too. He looked down at his son. And people who see each other don't walk away easily. He handed me an envelope. The NDA. Read it tonight. Sign it or don't. But if you sign it, Sawyer, if you commit to this, understand that you're stepping into my world, and my world doesn't let go. I took the envelope with shaking hands. In the elevator, I finally opened it. The NDA was 40 pages long, and on the last page, in handwritten ink, thank you for saving him, D. I signed it in my kitchen at midnight, knowing I was sealing my fate. 3 weeks passed like a fever dream. I fell into a rhythm, mornings at the mansion, afternoons watching Paolo discover the world, evenings trying to remember who I'd been before Domenico Vitale became the gravity I orbited. He was there more than I expected. Most bosses of his caliber would delegate childcare entirely, but Domenico appeared at odd hours, lunchtime, mid-morning, late afternoon, always with the same excuse, a break between meetings, a free moment, always watching Paolo, always watching me. "You're good with him," he said one afternoon. We were in the garden, a hidden oasis behind the mansion with climbing roses and a fountain that sang. Paolo was attempting to eat grass with focused determination. "He's easy to love." "Is he?" Domenico's voice went quiet. His mother didn't think so. I looked up sharply. "What?" He stared at the fountain, jaw tight. "Victoria wanted to wait. Said she wasn't ready for children, that it would derail her career. I convinced her. Promised her we'd have help, that she wouldn't have to sacrifice anything." His hands curled into fists. "She died hating me for it. I saw it in her eyes those last few months. The resentment. Domenico. The accident wasn't an accident." The words came out flat. The brake lines were cut. Professional job. They were coming for me, and she got in the way. My blood went cold. Paolo was in the car, 6 months old. The impact through his car seat saved his life. Hers ended 3 hours later in surgery. He finally looked at me. So when I say he's difficult to love, I mean he's a living reminder of what I cost her, what my life costs everyone who gets close. Paolo abandoned the grass and crawled toward me, leaving wet patches on the slate. "That's not true," I said quietly. "Look at him. He's curious and determined, and so full of life. He's not a reminder of death. He's proof you survived it." Domenico's expression cracked just for a second before the mask slammed back into place. "You should go home early today. I have people coming tonight. Business. Translation. Get out before you see something you shouldn't." I scooped up Paolo, kissed his soft hair, and handed him to his father. Their faces side by side, one ancient with grief, one unmarked by it, made my chest ache. "Sawyer." He caught my wrist as I turned to leave. "What you said, about survival. Do you really believe that?" "Yes." His thumb brushed my pulse point, probably accidentally, but it burned. "Then you're braver than I am." That night, I dreamed of car accidents and cut brake lines. I woke at 3 a.m. to my secure phone buzzing. "Unknown. Don't come tomorrow. Not safe." My fingers shook as I typed back. "Me. Who is this?" "Unknown. Someone who knows what happens to women who get close to Domenico Vitale." I stared at the screen until it went dark. At 7 a.m., my regular phone rang. "You're late." Domenico's voice was rough, like he hadn't slept. "I thought someone texted me last night. Said not to come." Silence. Then, "What number?" I read it off. "Fuck." The word was quiet but vicious. "Don't respond. Don't engage. I'm sending Luca to get you." "I can drive." "Not anymore, you can't. Someone found your secure number, which means they're watching this house. Watching you." His voice dropped. "I'm sorry. This is exactly what I was afraid of." "Then maybe I shouldn't. If you quit, they win. They scare you off. And Paolo loses the first person who's made him feel safe since his mother died." A pause. "And I lose the first person who's made me feel human in 2 years." The confession hung between us like smoke. "Luca will be there in 20 minutes. Pack a bag." "Pack a what?" "You're staying here until I figure out who sent that message and remove them from the board. No room for argument. Guest room is ready. Margarita will show you." "Domenico, I can't just move into your house." "You can and you will." His voice went soft. "Please, Sawyer. Let me keep you safe. Let me keep him safe." The please undid me. Luca was a wall of muscle in an expensive suit. He said nothing during the drive, but his eyes never stopped moving, cataloging threats. The mansion felt different when I arrived with a suitcase. Less like a workplace, more like a trap closing. Domenico met me at the door. He looked exhausted, hair disheveled, tie gone, shirt sleeves rolled up. A gun sat in a shoulder holster under his jacket. I'd never seen him armed before. "You're carrying," I said stupidly. "I'm always carrying. You just haven't noticed." He took my bag. "Come on, I'll show you your room." The guest suite was larger than my entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a bathroom with heated floors, a bed that could sleep 4. "This is too much. This is necessary." He set my bag down, then turned to face me. "I need you to understand something. The people who sent that text, they're not playing games. They're testing me, testing whether I care enough about you to react." And do you? The question escaped before I could stop it. Care enough? He moved closer, and suddenly the massive room felt small. Yes. His voice was gravel. And that makes you a liability. To them, and to me. Then why am I here? Because keeping you at arm's length didn't work. Because Paolo needs you. Because he stopped himself. Because what? His hand came up, fingers brushing my jaw. The touch was feather-light, devastating. Because when I close my eyes, I see your face. When Paolo laughs, I want you there to hear it. When I wake up at 3 a.m. from nightmares about Victoria dying, his voice cracked. I don't think about her anymore. I think about you getting hurt. About losing someone else. He cut himself off, stepping back like I'd burned him. I'm sorry. That was inappropriate. Domenico, get settled. Dinner's at 7. Paolo will want to say goodnight. He moved toward the door. Wait. I caught his sleeve. You're not alone in this. Whatever you're feeling, I feel it too. And it terrifies me. He looked at my hand on his arm, then at my face. You should be terrified, he whispered. I'm the kiss of death, Sawyer. Everyone I love ends up destroyed. Then it's a good thing I'm hard to destroy. Something in his expression shifted pain and hope warring for dominance. Don't say things like that. Don't give me hope when I know how this ends. How does it end? With me watching you leave. Or watching you die. Those are the only options in my world. What if there's a third option? There isn't. He left before I could argue, the door clicking shut with terrible finality. I sat on the bed, heart racing, and realized I'd just crossed a line neither of us could uncross. Somewhere in this house, a baby slept peacefully, and somewhere in the shadows, people were deciding whether I lived or died. I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt alive. Living in Domenico's house was like living inside a held breath. Everything was beautiful. Everything was dangerous. I learned the rhythms quickly. Breakfast at 7, always in the sunroom. Paolo's morning routine, a precisely choreographed dance of meals and play, and carefully monitored naps. Lunch appeared like magic, served by silent staff who materialized and vanished like ghosts. And Domenico. Always Domenico. He worked from home those first 3 days, disappearing into his study for hours but emerging whenever Paolo fussed. Checking, watching. His presence, a constant hum of tension that made my skin electric. On the 4th day, I found him in the library at midnight. I'd come downstairs for water, unable to sleep in sheets that cost more than my monthly rent. He sat in a leather chair, a tumbler of amber liquid in one hand, his other hand running through his hair in an unconscious gesture of exhaustion. You should be asleep. His voice was rough. So should you. I don't sleep much anymore. He gestured to the chair across from him. Sit. If you're going to be awake, you might as well have company. I sat, curling my legs under me. The library smelled like old books and his cologne, cedar, and something darker. What are you reading? He lifted the book, a worn copy of The Count of Monte Cristo. Revenge fantasy. Seemed appropriate. Have you figured out who sent the text? Working on it. He took a long drink. My world is built on secrets and suspicion. Everyone wants something. Everyone has an angle. Narrowing it down to who specifically wants to hurt me by hurting you, that's the challenge. How many enemies do you have? Enough to fill this house twice over. He smiled without humor. Comes with the territory. Which territory is that, exactly? He looked at me for a long moment. You really want to know? Yes. Most of it's legitimate. Real estate development, import, export, investments. He paused. Some of it isn't. Protection, information brokering, conflict resolution for people who can't go to the police. You mean, I'm exactly what you think I am, Sawyer. I inherited an empire built on blood, and kept it running because the alternative was watching everything my father died for crumble. His voice went cold. I've killed men, ordered deaths, destroyed lives. I'm not the hero of this story. I didn't ask you to be. Then what are you asking? I'm asking if you're the villain. He laughed, a dark, bitter sound. Aren't I? I don't know yet. I leaned forward. I see you with Paolo. I see how gentle you are with him, how terrified you are of failing him. Villains don't feel like that. Villains love too, Sawyer. They just destroy what they love. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his entire body went rigid. What is it? We have a problem. He stood, suddenly all business. Stay here. Don't leave this room. Domenico, stay. Here. The command in his voice was absolute. He disappeared into the hallway. I heard voices, low, urgent. Footsteps. Then silence. I lasted 5 minutes before curiosity overwhelmed caution. The hallway was empty, but light spilled from under the study door. I crept closer, pressed my ear to the wood. Doesn't matter how they found her. What matters is they got close enough to send a message. Domenico's voice, ice cold. We increased security like you asked. An unfamiliar male voice. But if they've been watching the house, then they know about Paolo. They know about the routines. They know she's here. A pause. I want perimeter tripled. I want eyes on every entrance. And I want Castellano brought to me. Alive. Boss. If we grab him, the Castellano family will what? Retaliate? They're already retaliating. This is them testing boundaries. Domenico's voice dropped to something subterranean. I'm done with boundaries. I'm done with diplomacy. Someone threatened what's mine. I want them bleeding. Silence. Make the call. Footsteps approached the door. I barely made it back to the library before it opened. Domenico appeared in the doorway, his expression unreadable. You heard? Not a question. Yes. He nodded slowly, then closed the distance between us. The Castellano family has been pushing for territory I control. Gambling operations, mostly. They think because Victoria died and I'm focused on Paolo, I've gone soft. His jaw tightened. They're about to learn otherwise. Who's Castellano? Marco Castellano, second son, hungry for power. He sent men to watch this house 3 weeks ago. We caught 2 of them. The third disappeared. He touched my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. He's the one who sent you that text. How do you know? Because I know how he operates. He doesn't go for the obvious target. He goes for the weakness, the soft spot. His eyes held mine. You're my soft spot, Sawyer, and he knows it. My breath caught. We're not. Aren't we? His voice dropped to a whisper. Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me you don't think about me the way I think about you. I couldn't. That's what I thought. He stepped back, breaking the spell. Tomorrow, you're going to meet Lorenzo, my head of security. He'll teach you basics, how to spot a tail, how to use a panic button, what to do if someone grabs you. You think someone will try to grab me? I think Marco Castellano is stupid enough to try, and I'd rather you know how to fight back than rely on my men getting there in time. His expression went dark. I won't lose someone else because I was arrogant enough to think I could protect them. The weight of Victoria's death hung between us. I'm not her, I said quietly. I know. That's what scares me. He moved to the door, then paused. You're not a ghost I'm trying to replace. You're something entirely new. And I don't know what to do with that. Domenico, get some sleep, Sawyer. Tomorrow gets complicated. He left me in the library, heart pounding, the taste of almost confessions bitter on my tongue. I didn't sleep. Instead, I went to the nursery. Paolo slept on his back, one arm thrown over his head, completely trusting in the world's safety. Margarita had left a nightlight on a small turtle that projected stars across the ceiling. I sat in the rocking chair and watched him breathe. This child had already lost his mother. He didn't understand it yet, but he would. He'd grow up knowing his father's love came wrapped in violence, that his world was built on foundations of blood, and I was becoming part of that world, not because Domenico forced me, because I was choosing it, choosing him. The thought should have terrified me. Instead, I felt the click of something falling into place, like I'd been walking toward this moment my entire life without knowing it. You can't sleep either. I jumped. Domenico stood in the doorway, still dressed. Exhaustion carved into his features. I needed to see him, I admitted. Needed to remember why this matters. And does it matter? Yes. He crossed the room, knelt beside my chair. In the starlight, he looked younger, vulnerable. I'm going to keep you safe, he said. Both of you, whatever it costs. What if the cost is too high? Then I'll pay it anyway. His hand found mine, fingers threading together. You asked me earlier if I was the villain. Maybe I am, but for you and Paolo, I'd be the villain of every story ever told, if it meant you survived. He left before I could respond, but his hand had left a brand, and I absolutely knew that I was falling for a man who might destroy me, but I was falling anyway. Lorenzo was built like a tank, and had eyes that missed nothing. First rule, he said, leading me through the mansion's lower level. Trust your instincts. You feel watched. You are. You feel unsafe. You leave. Politeness gets people killed. We were in a gym I hadn't known existed. Concrete floors, heavy bags, walls lined with weapons in locked cases. Second rule, always know your exits, he pointed. 3 ways out of any room. Main door, Window. Service entrance. Memorize them. This feels excessive. Miss Chen. He turned to face me fully. 2 weeks ago, a woman who worked for the Romano family was kidnapped outside her apartment. They kept her for 3 days before we found her. Do you know what they did to her? I shook my head. They cut off her fingers. 1 per day. Sent them to her boss with notes. That's what happens in this world when you're not prepared. My stomach turned. Marco Castellano knows you're important to Mr. Vitali. That makes you a target. My job is to make you a hard target. He pulled a phone from his pocket, different from my secure phone. This is your panic device. It looks like a phone. It's not. You press this button. He indicated a spot on the side. And every man I have mobilizes to your location within 90 seconds. 90 seconds is a long time. Then don't let anyone grab you for 90 seconds. He handed me the device. Keep it on you. Always. Shower, sleep, everywhere. The next 2 hours were brutal. He taught me pressure points. How to break a grip. Where to strike to disable an attacker. How to use keys as weapons. How to scream strategically. How to fall without getting hurt. By the end, I was bruised and exhausted. You're a quick learner, Lorenzo said approvingly. But remember, the goal isn't to win a fight. It's to escape long enough for help to arrive. What if help doesn't arrive? His expression went cold. Then you make sure they regret touching you. Paolo was fussy that afternoon. Nothing soothed him, not music, not books, not even the special bottle that usually worked. He arched and whimpered, and I felt his forehead. Warm. Margarita. He's running a fever. She appeared instantly, thermometer in hand. We took his temperature 100.2. Not high, she said carefully. But for him, anything is concerning. Where's Domenico? Meeting, he said, not to disturb unless... Get him. Now. She made the call. 5 minutes later, Domenico burst through the door like an avenging angel, his face carved from stone. How high? Just over 100, but he's uncomfortable. I rocked Paolo gently. He ate fine this morning. Nothing changed in his routine. Domenico pressed his palm to Paolo's forehead, and something in his expression fractured. I'll call Dr. Rossi. No. The word came out sharp. Not unless it gets worse. He's probably just fighting off something minor. If we panic every time. He's all I have. Domenico's voice broke. If something happens to him, nothing is going to happen to him. I stood, crossing to where he hovered like a storm cloud. But he can feel your fear. He's feeding off it. You need to breathe. Don't tell me to breathe. Then don't tell me to panic. I shifted Paolo to my hip, grabbed Domenico's hand, and pressed it against the baby's back. Feel him breathing. Feel his heartbeat. He's okay. We just need to watch him. Domenico's fingers spread across Paolo's tiny back, and I watched the tension drain from his shoulders degree by degree. I can't lose him, he whispered. You won't. We stood like that, hands overlapping on the child between us for a small eternity. When Paolo finally settled, drifting into restless sleep, Domenico didn't let go. Thank you. His voice was raw. For not letting me spiral. That's what I'm here for. No. He looked at me then. Really looked. And the intensity stole my breath. You're here because I'm selfish enough to keep you close, even though it puts you in danger. You're here because I'm too weak to let you go. Domenico, I think about you constantly. The confession tumbled out like he'd been holding it back too long. What you're doing, whether you're safe. If you think about me the way I think about you. My heart hammered. And how do you think about me? Like you're mine. His free hand came up, cupping my jaw. Like I'd burn the world down before I let anyone hurt you. Like I'm completely fucking ruined for anyone else. Paolo shifted between us. A warm, breathing reminder of why this was complicated. We can't, I whispered. This is your son is right here, and there are people trying to hurt us, and I work for you. You don't work for me. You never did. His thumb brushed my lower lip. You're not staff, Sawyer. You're, what am I? Everything I can't have. Everything I want anyway. The air between us crackled. I should go put him in his crib, I managed. You should. Neither of us moved. His forehead dropped to mine, our breath mingling. Paolo asleep between us like a blessing and a barrier. If I kiss you, he whispered, I won't stop. And you deserve better than being devoured by a man who doesn't know how to do anything halfway. What if I want to be devoured? He made a sound low in his throat, half laugh, half growl. Don't say things like that unless you mean them. I mean them. For one agonizing heartbeat, I thought he'd kiss me. Instead, he stepped back, taking Paolo from my arms with practiced gentleness. When I kiss you, he said quietly, it won't be when my son is between us. It won't be when you're exhausted from security training. And it won't be until I know you're safe. That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. He settled Paolo in the crib, then turned back to me. But I'm done pretending I don't want you. Done pretending you're just here for Paolo. His eyes burned. You're here because you're mine. Say it. The command in his voice sent shivers down my spine. I'm yours, I whispered. Again, I'm yours. He crossed the distance between us in 2 strides, caging me against the wall. His hand pressed beside my head, his body close enough to feel his heat but not touching. When I make you mine completely, he said against my ear, you'll say it like a prayer, like a confession, like the only truth you've ever known. Then he left me trembling in the nursery, Paolo sleeping peacefully in his crib, my entire world tilted on its axis. That night, I dreamed of his hands, and when I woke, I found a note slipped under my door. Dr. Rossi checked on Paolo. He's fine. Fever broke in the night. You were right, I needed to breathe. Thank you for being my heir. D. And beneath it, a single line that made my heart stop. Marco Castellano has been invited to discuss terms. Tomorrow night. Stay in your room no matter what you hear. I crumpled the note in my fist, knowing that whatever was coming would either save us or destroy us. But I was in too deep to walk away now. I knew something was wrong when the staff vanished after dinner. One moment, the mansion hummed with quiet activity. The next, it was silent as a tomb. Margarita put Paolo to bed early, her face carefully neutral. Stay upstairs tonight, Sawyer. Don't come down. What's happening? Business. She squeezed my hand. Just stay safe. I retreated to my room as instructed, but sleep was impossible. At 10 p.m., I heard cars arriving, doors closing, voices low and male and dangerous. At 10:30, something shattered. I pressed my ear to the door, insulting my family. A voice I didn't recognize, thick with anger. Your family insulted mine first, Domenico's voice, colder than I'd ever heard it. You sent men to watch my house. You threatened someone under my protection. The waitress? Laughter? Cruel? She's nothing, Vitali. A distraction. You've gone soft, hiding behind a woman and a baby, while real men handle business. A pause. Then, get him up. Sounds of a struggle. A grunt of pain. Look at me, Marco. I couldn't stand it anymore. I cracked the door open, slipped into the hallway. The study door was ajar. Through the gap, I saw them. Domenico stood over a man tied to a chair, Marco Castellano, blood streaming from his nose, 2 of Lorenzo's men flanking him, and Domenico held a gun. You want to know what happens when someone threatens my family? His voice was conversational, terrifying. First, I make sure they understand their mistake. He brought the gun down across Marco's face. The crack made me flinch. Then I explained the rules. Rule 1, you don't touch what's mine. Rule 2, you don't threaten what's mine. Rule 3, you don't even think about what's mine without asking permission first. Fuck you. Another hit. Marco's head snapped back. Your family has been pushing into my territory for 6 months. I've been patient, diplomatic. I let the old ways guide me. Negotiations, compromises, peace. Domenico crouched in front of Marco. But you made a mistake. You went after her. And that changed everything. She's just, say one more word about her and I'll cut out your tongue. No emotion. Pure promise. Marco wisely stayed silent. Here's what's going to happen, Domenico said quietly. You're going to go back to your father. You're going to tell him the Vitali territories are closed. Permanently. You're going to tell him that the next person who so much as looks at this house wrong will be found in pieces. He stood. And you're going to tell him that Domenico Vitali is done playing nice. My father will. Your father is smart enough to know when he's outmatched. Domenico nodded to Lorenzo. Get him out of here. Make sure he sees Dr. Chen on his way out. Dr. Chen. My stomach dropped. They dragged Marco past my hiding spot. His face was a mess of blood and bruising. When he saw me standing there, his eyes widened. That's her? That's what this is about? Lorenzo hit him hard enough to shut him up. And then Domenico was in the doorway, staring at me. I told you to stay upstairs. I heard. I know what you heard. He grabbed my arm, pulling me into the study and closing the door. You weren't supposed to see that. Is he going to be okay? Do you care? I stopped. No. Not really. But I care about you. About what this makes you. You already know what this makes me. He turned away, setting the gun on his desk with careful precision. I'm the monster in the dark, Sawyer. The thing parents warn their children about. You saw it tonight. I saw you protecting your family." He laughed, bitter, broken. "Is that what you call it?" "Yes." I moved closer. "That man threatened Paolo, threatened me. You think I'm upset you defended us? I nearly killed him. But you didn't. Only because you're here." He finally looked at me. "If you weren't in this house, if I didn't know you'd hear it, I would have put a bullet in his skull without hesitation. Then I guess it's good I'm here." He stared at me like I was speaking another language. "You should be running," he said quietly. "You should be packing your bags and getting as far from me as possible." "I'm not running." "Why not?" "Because I told you I'm yours. I closed the distance between us. And you're mine. Even the monster parts. Especially those." His control shattered. He grabbed me, backing me against the door, his body a wall of heat and violence and desperate need. "You don't know what you're saying." "I do. I'm covered in another man's blood." "I don't care. Sawyer, my name was a prayer and a warning. Kiss me." The demand surprised us both. "You said you'd kiss me when I was safe. I'm safe. You made me safe. Now kiss me." He did. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't soft. It was devouring, consuming. 2 years of grief and loneliness and need poured into the connection of lips and tongue and teeth. His hands fisted in my hair. Mine gripped his shirt, feeling his heart pound against my palms. He kissed me like I was oxygen, and he was drowning, like I was the only thing keeping him tethered to humanity. When we finally broke apart, we were both shaking. "This is dangerous," he whispered against my mouth. "Everything about you is dangerous. I mean it, Sawyer. People who love me die. People who get close to me become targets. I'm poison. Then I guess I have a death wish." I pulled him back down. "Kiss me again." He did. Slower this time. Thorough. Mapping every inch of my mouth like he was memorizing it. His hand slid to my waist, pulling me closer, and I felt him hard against my hip. "We should stop," he murmured, not stopping. "Why?" "Because if we don't, I'm going to take you right here, against this door, in a room that still smells like violence." His teeth grazed my jaw. "And you deserve better than that. What if I want that?" He groaned, pressing his forehead to mine. "You're going to destroy me. Good. We can be destroyed together." A soft sound from the baby monitor on his desk made us both freeze. Paolo, crying. Reality crashed back. Domenico stepped back, running a hand through his hair. "I should go." I touched his face. "Take care of him. We can talk after." But we both knew what after meant. After the adrenaline faded. After reality set back in. After the space between us filled with all the reasons this was impossible. He left without another word. I stayed in the study, pressing my fingers to my swollen lips, tasting him still. On his desk, I noticed something I'd missed before, a folder marked with my name. I shouldn't have opened it. Inside was a dossier. My entire life laid out in black and white. Birth certificate, school records, employment history, even my brother's names and addresses. He'd investigated me. Thoroughly. And clipped to the front was a handwritten note. "Keep safe. Priority level. Critical. DV." I should have been angry about the invasion of privacy. Instead, I felt something warm unfurl in my chest. He'd marked me as critical, as a priority, as someone worth investigating, worth protecting, worth keeping. I closed the folder and left it on his desk. Tomorrow, we'd talk about boundaries and privacy. Tonight, I'd let myself feel wanted. I found Domenico in the nursery. Paolo slept peacefully now, but Domenico sat in the rocking chair, head in his hands, still wearing the shirt stained with Marco Castellano's blood. "You should change," I said softly from the doorway. "I should do a lot of things." He didn't look up. "Letting you stay here wasn't one of them. We agreed. We agreed before I kissed you like a man possessed. Before I proved exactly how out of control I am around you." He finally raised his head, and the anguish in his eyes stopped me cold. "Do you know why I investigated you? Because you're careful. Because you protect your son." "No." He stood, crossing to the window. "Because 3 weeks in, I realized I'd die for you, and I needed to know if you were worth dying for." My breath caught. "The answer terrified me," he continued. "Because you are. You're exactly who you appear to be, good and genuine, and so far out of my league it's laughable. And that makes this worse." "Makes what worse?" "The fact that I'm going to ruin you." He turned to face me. "Tonight proved it. Marco will go back to his family beaten and humiliated. They'll retaliate. Not against me, that's expected. They'll come after you. After Paolo. They'll burn down everything I love to prove a point. Then we'll stop them. We can't stop them all." His voice rose, then dropped to a furious whisper when Paolo stirred. "There are 5 families in this city. The Castellanos are just one. The others are watching, waiting to see if I really have gone soft. If I let this stand, they'll all move against me. If I retaliate, it's war. So what are you saying?" "I'm saying you need to leave. Tomorrow. I'll set you up somewhere safe. New city, new identity, enough money to start over. You'll be protected, but separate. Anonymous." "And Paolo?" Pain flashed across his face. "We'll have to learn to live without you, like he learned to live without his mother. You're punishing him because you're scared. I'm protecting him, by taking away someone he loves? By making him feel abandoned again?" I stepped closer. "That's not protection, Domenico. That's cruelty disguised as safety. Better cruel than dead." "Is it? Is living in a gilded cage, afraid to love anyone, really living at all? You don't understand." "I understand perfectly." My voice shook. "You're terrified. Victoria died, and you've been waiting for the other shoe to drop ever since. You convinced yourself that loving someone is a death sentence, so you keep everyone at arm's length. But then Paolo needed me, then you needed me, and that scared you more than any threat from the Castellano family ever could." He stared at me, jaw clenched. "You want to know the truth?" I continued. "The real reason you're sending me away? It's not to protect me, it's to protect yourself. Because if I die, if I get hurt, you'll have to feel it. And you'd rather be alone than risk that pain again. That's not—" "It is." I was crying now, angry tears that burned. "You're choosing to be alone, choosing to make Paolo grow up without anyone who sees him, really sees him. You'd rather be empty than vulnerable. And you'd rather be dead than realistic." He shouted it, then froze as Paolo woke with a sharp cry. We both moved instinctively, but I got there first. I lifted Paolo from his crib, and he immediately buried his face in my neck, seeking comfort. "Shh, sweet boy. We're sorry. We didn't mean to scare you." Domenico stood rigid, watching us. "Look at him," I said quietly. "Really look. He knows something's wrong. He can feel the tension between us, and tomorrow, when you pack me off to some anonymous city, you think he won't notice I'm gone? You think he won't grieve? He'll forget. He won't. He's 18 months old, Domenico. Old enough to attach, old enough to love, old enough to be damaged by losing someone again." Paolo's fist curled in my shirt. "Is that really what you want for him?" Silence. "Then, of course not. Then stop running. Stop deciding for everyone else what they can handle. Let me choose to stay. Let me choose to risk it." "I can't." His voice cracked. "I can't watch you die, Sawyer. I can't survive that again." "Then don't watch me die. Watch me live." I shifted Paolo to my hip. "Fight for me. Fight for us. Be the man who doesn't back down, who doesn't let fear win. What if I fail? What if they get to you anyway? Then at least we tried. At least we had this. At least Paolo knew what it felt like to be loved completely, even if it was brief." I moved closer. "Isn't that better than safety without connection?" He reached out, touching Paolo's back, then my face. His hand trembled. "You're asking me to risk everything. I'm asking you to believe we're worth it." For a long moment, he just stood there, war raging in his eyes. Then he kissed me soft, reverent, completely different from before. "If you stay," he whispered against my lips, "I'm all in, no half measures. You're mine completely, and I'm yours. That means you're part of this family, part of this life, part of the danger and the violence and the constant threat. I know. It means when I go to war with the Castellano family, and I will, you'll be in the crossfire. I know. It means Paolo will call you something other than Sawyer eventually. He'll see you as—" He stopped. "As what?" "As his." He touched my face with infinite gentleness. "As ours." My heart cracked open. "I can live with that." "Can you?" His eyes searched mine. "Can you really live with loving a monster? You're not a monster. You're a man who's been hurt so badly you forgot how to hope." I kissed him softly. "Let me remind you." Paolo yawned between us, apparently bored with the emotional drama. He reached for Domenico, who took him automatically. We stood there, the three of us in the dim nursery, and something shifted, settled, clicked into place. "I'll increase security," Domenico said finally. "Lorenzo will have a permanent team on you. You won't leave the house without protection." "Okay, and you'll let me teach you how to shoot." "Absolutely not. Sawyer, I'm not shooting anyone. I was firm on this. I'll learn self-defense. I'll be careful. But I'm not becoming an executioner. He looked like he wanted to argue, then nodded slowly. Fine. But you carry the panic device. Always. Deal. Paolo started to drift off again, his head heavy on Domenico's shoulder. Come on, I said. Let's put him down and get you out of those clothes. Domenico's eyes darkened. Careful. That sounded like an invitation. Maybe it was. Sawyer, I'm not leaving. You're not sending me away. We're doing this. I took his free hand. So we might as well really do this. He let me lead him from the nursery, Paolo sleeping peacefully in his arms. And as we walked through his mansion of secrets and shadows, I realized I wasn't afraid anymore. I'd chosen this. Chosen him. Chosen danger over safety because love was always a risk. And Domenico Vitale was worth the gamble. The attack came 3 days later. I was in the garden with Paolo, watching him attempt to catch butterflies with hands that couldn't quite coordinate yet. The sun was warm, the roses were blooming, and for one perfect moment, I let myself believe we were safe. Then Lorenzo's voice crackled through my earpiece. Code red. Get inside now. I scooped up Paolo and ran. The house erupted into organized chaos. Staff vanished into safe rooms. Lorenzo's men materialized from nowhere, armed and moving with military precision. Where's Domenico? I gasped as Lorenzo appeared beside me. En route. 5 minutes out. He guided me toward the panic room off the kitchen. Get inside. Don't open this door for anyone but me or Mr. Vitale. What's happening? Castellano sent men. 4 vehicles, heavily armed. He pushed me inside. They're testing our response time, proving they can reach the house. The panic room was small, soundproofed, lined with monitors showing every angle of the property. I watched on screen as SUVs surrounded the gates. Paolo started to fuss, sensing my fear. It's okay, sweet boy. It's okay. I bounced him gently, watching the screens over his head. Men poured from the vehicles. Not suits, tactical gear, military-grade weapons. This wasn't a warning. This was war. Gunfire erupted on screen. Lorenzo's men returned fire from defensive positions. I watched it happen like a movie, unable to process that this was real, that bullets were flying through the garden where Paolo had been playing 30 seconds ago. Then Domenico's car screeched up the drive. He exited already, shooting, taking down 2 men before they registered his presence. His movements were fluid, brutal, efficient. He'd done this before. Many times. I watched him kill 3 men in less than a minute. Should have horrified me. Instead, I felt relief so intense it made me dizzy. He was alive. He was here. The fight lasted 7 more minutes. The Castellano men retreated, leaving 2 dead on the lawn. Then Domenico was at the panic room door, covered in someone else's blood again, eyes wild. Sawyer, open up. It's me. I unlocked the door and he was on me immediately, checking for injuries, hands running over my arms, my face, Paolo's small body. You're okay. Tell me you're okay. We're fine. Lorenzo got us inside before I couldn't finish. He pulled us both against his chest, holding on like we'd disappear if he let go. This is my fault, he said into my hair. I should have ended this before it got this far. What are you going to do? He pulled back, and the expression on his face stopped my heart. I'm going to finish it. He called a meeting that night. Not just the Castellano family. All 5 families. A summit. I wasn't supposed to be there, but I slipped into the gallery overlooking the dining room where they gathered. From the shadows, I watched. 10 men sat around the table. Old men, most of them. Men who'd built empires on violence and cunning. And at the head sat Domenico, youngest by decades, but commanding the room through sheer presence. This ends tonight, he said quietly. The Castellano family attacked my home, put my son at risk, threatened someone under my protection. His voice dropped to something subterranean. That's not politics. That's suicide. Marco's father, Giuseppe Castellano, leaned forward. Your protection? She's a waitress. A nobody. You've lost perspective, Vitale. Lost your edge. Have I? Domenico smiled, and it was terrifying. Because from where I'm sitting, I'm the only one here who's consolidated power in the last 5 years. I'm the only one whose territories are growing while yours stagnate. And I'm the only one who can make a phone call right now and have every one of your operations shut down by morning. You're bluffing. Try me. The room went silent. I didn't call you here to negotiate, Domenico continued. I called you here to explain new rules. Rule 1. My family is untouchable. That includes blood. That includes staff. That includes anyone I claim as mine. You want to challenge me. You challenge me directly. You want my territories. You negotiate in good faith. But you come near Paolo, or Sawyer again, he leaned forward, and I'll burn your empires to ash, and salt the earth behind them. You can't take us all, Giuseppe growled. I don't have to. I just have to take you. Domenico's eyes locked on him. And I will, personally. Not my men, not a hired gun. Me. I'll walk into your house, past your security, through your family, and I'll end you myself. He stood. That's not a threat, it's a promise. Test me. No one spoke. We're done here. Domenico buttoned his jacket. Next person who moves against my family answers to me, and I don't play by the old rules anymore. I don't respect territories, or traditions, or diplomatic immunity. I am the new rule. Get used to it. He left them sitting there, stunned. I waited until they'd all departed before slipping down to the dining room. Domenico stood at the window, shoulders rigid. You heard, he said without turning. All of it. And you terrify me. I moved closer. But not because of what you threatened, because of what you've become for us. How much you've changed, how much you're willing to risk. He finally faced me. I meant every word. They touch you, they die. They look at Paolo wrong, they die. I'm done pretending to be civilized. I know. Does that disgust you? No. I took his hands, felt them trembling beneath mine. It should, but it doesn't. Does that make me as broken as you? You're not broken. Neither are you. I pulled him closer. You're just finally fighting for something that matters. He kissed me, then hard and desperate and claiming. His hands fisted in my hair, angling my head for better access. I felt his control fracturing, felt the violence and need and fear pouring through the contact of lips and breath. I need you, he said against my mouth. I need to feel you alive, here, real. Then take me. I was shaking. I'm here. I'm yours. He groaned, pressing me against the wall. His hands mapped my body waist, hips, the curve of my neck. Every touch burned. Not here, he managed. Not after, not in this room. Then where? He didn't answer with words. Just lifted me, and I wrapped my legs around his waist as he carried me through the house. We barely made it to his bedroom before he was kissing me again, laying me on sheets that smelled like him, cedar and winter, and something uniquely Domenico. Tell me to stop, he whispered, hovering over me. Tell me you don't want this. I want this. I want you. I pulled him down. All of you. The monster and the man, and everything between. Sawyer, make me yours, completely. Something in him broke. What followed was desperate, consuming, the kind of intimacy that branded souls. He touched me like I was precious and breakable, and the only thing keeping him tethered to humanity. I responded like I'd been waiting my whole life for exactly this for him, for this connection, for the feeling of being completely known and still completely wanted. When we finally lay tangled together, breathing hard, the room spinning, he held me like I might disappear. I love you, he said into my hair. God help me. I love you more than I've ever loved anything except my son. I love you too. I pressed my lips to his chest, right over his heart. Monster and all. We're completely insane. Probably. This won't be easy. There will be more attacks, more threats. I know, but I'm not letting you go. Good. I tilted my head to look at him. Because I'm not leaving. He kissed me softly, reverently, and for the first time since Victoria died, Domenico Vitale let himself hope. The next 2 weeks felt like living in a held breath. No more attacks came, but the tension didn't ease. Lorenzo doubled security. We didn't leave the house. Paolo sensed something wrong, clingy, fussy, waking at night with nightmares I didn't know babies could have. And Domenico worked constantly. Phone calls in Italian, meetings behind closed doors. The dark circles under his eyes deepened. You need to sleep, I said one night, finding him in his study at 3 a.m. Can't. Giuseppe is mobilizing. He didn't accept the terms. What does that mean? It means war. He rubbed his eyes. The other families are choosing sides. Most are staying neutral, but the Russos are backing the Castellanos. They see an opportunity to weaken me. So what do? We? He looked at me. There is no we in this, Sawyer. This is my fight. That's bullshit and you know it. I crossed to his desk. We're in this together. You said I was yours. That means you're mine too. Which means your fights are my fights. I'm trying to protect you. I don't need protection. I need honesty. I sat on the edge of his desk. Tell me the truth. How bad is this? He was silent for a long moment. Then, Bad. Giuseppe has twice as many men, better weapons, more resources. If this goes full scale, we'll be outnumbered. Then why are you fighting? Because the alternative is worse. If I back down, every family in this city will see weakness. They'll all move against me. Paolo will grow up a target. You'll never be safe. This is the only way to establish dominance, to make them too afraid to challenge me again. Or you'll die trying. Yes, no hesitation. And what happens to Paolo then? To me? Lorenzo has orders. He'll get you both out. New identities, new lives. You'll be protected. But you'll be dead. Better me than you. I slapped him. The crack echoed in the study. Domenico's head snapped to the side, more from shock than force. Don't you dare, I said, voice shaking. Don't you dare make yourself a martyr and call it protection. Paolo needs his father. I need you. We don't need your money or your security or your fucking empire. We need you alive. He touched his cheek, staring at me. There has to be another way. I continued. Some solution that doesn't end with you bleeding out for your pride. This isn't about pride, isn't it? Giuseppe insulted you, challenged your authority, and now you're ready to die proving a point. I grabbed his face, forcing him to look at me. Is your ego really worth more than watching your son grow up? The words hit like bullets. That's not fair, he said quietly. None of this is fair. But I'm asking you, begging you to find another way. Be smarter than them. Outthink them instead of outgunning them. There is no other way. Then make one. I kissed him desperately. Please, don't leave us. His hands came up to my waist, holding on. I'm scared, he admitted against my mouth. I'm terrified that if I don't end this now, they'll keep coming, keep threatening you, and eventually, my luck will run out. Eventually, I won't be fast enough or smart enough, and you'll pay the price for loving me. I'm willing to pay that price. I'm not, he pulled back. I'm not willing to watch you die for me. I'd rather die first. Those aren't the only options. In my world, they are. We stared at each other, deadlocked. Then his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and went pale. It's Giuseppe. Don't answer. He answered. Listened. His expression went from confused to horrified. When? A pause. How many? Another pause. I'm on my way. He hung up. What happened? Giuseppe's youngest grandson was kidnapped 2 hours ago. Taken from his school. Domenico's hands shook as he grabbed his jacket. He's 5 years old. Who would? I don't know. But whoever did this just changed everything. The meeting was at neutral ground, an abandoned warehouse by the docks. I shouldn't have been there, but I followed anyway. Lorenzo tried to stop me at the door. Miss Chen, this is not. Let her through. Domenico's voice cut through the argument. He looked at me. If you're here, you stay behind me. Silent. Understood? I nodded. Inside, Giuseppe Castellano looked 10 years older, broken. His men surrounded him, but they all looked shaken. Thank you for coming, Giuseppe said quietly. Who took Matteo? Domenico asked. We don't know. No ransom call. No demands. Just gone. Giuseppe's voice cracked. He's 5. He still sleeps with a nightlight. Something in Domenico's expression softened. Show me the security footage. They huddled around a laptop. I couldn't see much, but I heard their sharp intakes of breath. Professional, Lorenzo said. Military-grade equipment. Planned. Not one of ours, Giuseppe added. I'd know my own people's tactics. Domenico's eyes narrowed. Russo? He swore neutrality. Publicly. But what if he's playing both sides? Takes out your grandson, pins it on me, watches us destroy each other while he absorbs our territories. Giuseppe went very still. That bastard. Or it's someone else entirely. Someone who wants the chaos. Domenico pulled out his phone. I'm making calls. Someone saw something. For the next hour, I watched enemies become allies. Domenico mobilized his network. Giuseppe did the same. Information flowed fast. A black van. Partial plate. Last seen heading toward the industrial district. And then a breakthrough. I found them, Lorenzo said, pressing his phone to his ear. Warehouse on Pier 19. Guards posted. Russo's men. Domenico and Giuseppe locked eyes. We moved together, Domenico said. United front. Giuseppe nodded. For the boy, the rescue was brutal and efficient. I watched from the car as Domenico and Giuseppe's men stormed the warehouse. Gunfire, shouting, and then silence. Domenico emerged carrying a small boy wrapped in his jacket. Matteo Castellano, terrified but alive. Giuseppe ran to them, taking his grandson with shaking hands. The boy clung to him, sobbing. "Thank you," Giuseppe said to Domenico. "I owe you a blood debt. Keep your debt. Just call off the war." Giuseppe studied him for a long moment, then extended his hand. They shook. "You're different than your father," Giuseppe said quietly. "He would have used this, leveraged it. I'm not my father. And that boy didn't ask to be born into this life. Neither did mine." Giuseppe glanced at Paolo in my arms, then at me. Understanding dawned. "The waitress. She changed you." "Yes. Good." Giuseppe managed a small smile. "Empires built on violence alone don't last. My grandfather taught me that. I'd forgotten." He looked at his grandson. "Thank you for reminding me." As we drove home, Domenico took my hand. "You were right," he said quietly. "There was another way. I just couldn't see it through my fear. What happens now? Now we build something better. An empire that protects instead of destroys. A legacy Paolo can be proud of. That's a nice dream." "It's more than a dream." He kissed my knuckles. "It's a promise." When we got home, Paolo was asleep against my chest. We carried him upstairs together, tucked him in together, stood over his crib together. "Marry me," Domenico said suddenly. I turned. "What?" "Marry me. Not because you have to. Not because of Paolo. Because I can't imagine a future without you in it. Because you make me want to be better. Because I love you completely and desperately, and I want the world to know you're mine. Domenico, say yes." I kissed him instead of answering. But when we pulled apart, breathless, I whispered, "Yes." 6 months later, the wedding was small, private garden, close family only, which meant Paolo, Margherita, Lorenzo, and a handful of people Domenico trusted with his life. I wore cream silk. Paolo wore a tiny suit and spent the ceremony trying to eat my bouquet. Domenico wore black, and when he saw me walking toward him, he cried. Actually cried. "You look," he couldn't finish. "Like I'm yours?" I supplied, smiling. "Like you're mine," he agreed. The vows were traditional, but when it came time for the kiss, he pulled me close and whispered, "I'm going to spend every day of the rest of my life proving I deserve you. You already do, not even close. But I'll keep trying." That night, after Paolo was asleep and the house was quiet, we lay tangled in his bed, our bed now, and I traced the scars on his chest. "Tell me a secret," I said. "You know all my secrets. Tell me one I don't know." He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I wanted to die after Victoria, not actively. I wasn't suicidal, but I stopped caring if I lived. Every risk I took, every dangerous situation, part of me hoped it would be the end." He caught my hand, pressing it over his heart. "You made me want to live again, you and Paolo. You gave me a reason to fight instead of just going through the motions. That's not a small thing to carry." "No, but I'd carry the weight of the world if it meant keeping you." I kissed him softly. "You don't have to. We'll carry it together." The next morning, I found Domenico in Paolo's room, sitting on the floor, building blocks with our son. "Mama!" Paolo shouted when he saw me, abandoning the blocks to toddle over. The word stopped me cold. I looked at Domenico. He was watching us with an expression I couldn't name. "He started saying it yesterday," Domenico said quietly. I didn't correct him. Tears blurred my vision. "Domenico, you are his mother, in every way that matters. Victoria gave him life, but you taught him how to live it, how to trust, how to love." He stood, crossing to us. "If you're not ready, I'm ready." I knelt, pulling Paolo into my arms. "Hi, sweet boy." "Yes, I'm here." "Mama," he said again, patting my face. Over his head, Domenico mouthed, "I love you." I mouthed back, "I love you too." The months that followed weren't easy. There were still threats, still dangerous men who tested boundaries, still nights when Domenico came home with blood on his clothes and darkness in his eyes. But there was also laughter. Paolo's first full sentences, lazy Sunday mornings in bed, dinner parties where Domenico's careful alliance of families gathered and pretended to be civilized. And there was us, learning each other, fighting and making up, building a life that balanced danger with domesticity. One night, I found Domenico in his study, staring at a photo of Victoria. "I used to come here and apologize to her," he said without turning, "for failing to protect her, for moving on, for falling in love again." I stood beside him, looking at the woman who'd given him his son. "What do you say now?" "Thank you," his voice was rough, "for giving me Paolo, for showing me I could love someone, even if it terrified me. He paused, "for letting me go. I think she would have wanted me to be happy, And I am. Finally, I squeezed his hand. He turned to me. I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to really hear it. Okay, this empire, these territories and power and respect, it's all for you and Paolo. I don't care about any of it except as a way to keep you safe. The second it stops serving that purpose, the second it becomes more burden than protection, I'll walk away from all of it. Domenico, I mean it. You're not here because of what I have. You're here despite it, and I'll never forget that. He cupped my face. You married a monster, Sawyer, but every day, you make me a little more human, a little more whole. That's worth more than any empire. You're not a monster. Maybe not anymore. He smiled. You've civilized me. Don't give me too much credit. You still terrify half the city. Only half? I'm slipping. We laughed, and it felt like victory. 2 years after we married, Paolo started preschool. He cried the first day, clung to me with desperate hands. Mama, don't go. I'm not going far, sweet boy. Just to the car. I'll be back before you know it. Promise? I promise. Domenico crouched beside him. You know what brave men do, Paolo. What? They do scary things anyway. Because that's how they get stronger. Paolo considered this. Then, will you be proud if I'm brave? I'm already proud, but I'll be extra proud if you try. That convinced him. He let the teacher take his hand, looking back only twice. In the car, I started crying. He called me Mama, I said through tears. He has for 2 years. I know, but it still gets me every time. I wiped my eyes. He's growing up. He is. Domenico took my hand. And he's growing up good. Kind, confident. Because of you. Because of us. Mostly you. He pulled me close. I'm the one who shows him how to be strong. You're the one who shows him how to be gentle. He needs both. So do you. He kissed me slowly. So do I. 5 years after the night I saved Paolo's life, we stood in the same garden where we'd married. Paolo, now 6.5, ran through the roses with his baby sister toddling after him. Aria, 3 months old, dark hair like her father, my eyes, and lungs that could wake the dead. She's going to be trouble, Domenico said, rocking her gently. She gets it from you. Me? I'm a perfect angel. You're a perfect something. He grinned, then grew serious. Did you ever imagine this? When you first came upstairs that night? God, no. I thought I'd calm a screaming baby and go back to waiting tables. Instead, you saved my life. I saved Paolo's life. You saved both our lives. He shifted Aria to his shoulder. Everything I am now, everything we've built, it started because you heard a baby crying and decided to care. Paolo ran up, grass-stained and breathless. Mama, come play. I'm coming, sweet boy. I followed him into the garden, leaving Domenico with our daughter. And as I played chase with the child who'd become mine through love rather than blood, I thought about that night. The scream that had changed everything. The choice to go upstairs when everyone told me not to. If I could go back, knowing everything that would follow, the danger, the fear, the violence, would I still make the same choice? Yes, 1,000 times yes, because this life, messy and dangerous and complicated as it was mine, ours, built on trust and choosing each other every single day. Domenico approached, Aria asleep against his chest, and pulled me close with his free arm. What are you thinking? He murmured. That I'd do it all again. Even the scary parts? Especially the scary parts. They led me here. To this. To you. He kissed my temple. I love you, Sawyer Vitale. I love you too, monster and all. Paolo crashed into our legs, hugging us both. We stood there, the 4 of us, while the sun set over the garden and cast everything in gold. An empire built on blood had become a family built on love, and that was the greatest victory of all.